My beloved soul, listen carefully. The final barrier is gone. God has cleared the path to your soulmate. Something has shifted in the unseen realm, and it did not happen randomly. For a long time, there was a wall standing between you and the love that was prepared for you. It was invisible, but powerful. It delayed conversations. It confused emotions. It created distance when closeness was meant to grow. You wondered why things almost happened, but then suddenly stopped. You felt the connection, yet something always interrupted the flow. And many times you asked yourself a quiet question: why does it feel so close, yet still out of reach? My beloved soul, the truth is that heaven was not ignoring you. Heaven was protecting you, because not every moment is the right moment for destiny to unfold. Some paths must be cleared first. Some fears must dissolve. Some hidden battles must finish before love is allowed to arrive in its true form. And what you are about to understand today is something very few people recognize while it is happening. The final barrier that once stood between you and your soulmate has begun to collapse. The resistance that delayed your union has lost its strength. What once blocked the path is no longer holding its ground. Now, listen closely, because what you are about to hear will reveal why everything unfolded the way it did. My beloved soul, do not skip this moment, because what is being revealed now carries a quiet but powerful truth. The barrier that once existed between you and your soulmate was not always visible in the physical world. It appeared in subtle ways. Misunderstandings that came from nowhere. Timing that always seemed slightly off. Moments when one heart was ready while the other was still healing. But heaven was never confused. Heaven saw the entire picture from the beginning. God knew that if this union had happened too early, the connection might have been damaged by wounds that were not yet healed. The truth is that both of you were walking through a season of preparation. You were learning patience. You were discovering your worth. You were releasing attachments that did not belong to your future. And at the same time, your soulmate was being guided through their own awakening. Sometimes they felt the pull towards you, but they did not yet understand what it meant. Sometimes they sensed your presence in their life, yet fear or confusion caused them to hesitate. This is what many people do not realize about divine connections. They are not forced into existence. They are aligned at the right moment. And alignment cannot happen while barriers still stand. Some barriers are emotional. Some are spiritual. Some are created by old beliefs that whisper lies about love and destiny. But the barrier that mattered the most was the final one. The last resistance that stood between two hearts that were meant to recognize each other clearly. Stay with me till the end. Something powerful is waiting for you, because what heaven is revealing now is not only about the past. It is about what has changed. Over the last season, something quiet but significant has been happening behind the scenes. The fears that once controlled the situation have begun to lose their grip. The doubts that clouded clarity have started to fade. The emotional storms that once created distance are settling into calm. And while you may not have seen every detail, heaven has been working with precision. God has been removing the final barrier piece by piece. Think about the changes you have felt inside your own heart recently. There is a deeper peace that was not there before. A new level of self-respect. A quiet understanding that you no longer need to chase what is meant for you. This shift inside you is not accidental. It is part of the clearing process. When your spirit aligns with peace instead of desperation, the path becomes visible. And something similar has been happening within the heart of your soulmate as well. They are seeing things differently now. They are beginning to understand feelings they once avoided. They are recognizing the value of what their soul has been guiding them toward. The barrier that once confused them is dissolving. And this is why the energy between you is changing. If you pay attention, you may already sense it. The tension that once surrounded this connection is softening. The uncertainty is losing its voice. My beloved soul, do not leave yet. Heaven has more to reveal. Because there is something deeper you must understand about this moment. When God removes the final barrier, it does not always happen with loud announcements. Sometimes it begins quietly, like the sunrise, slowly pushing away the darkness of night. At first, the light is gentle, subtle, easy to overlook. But with each passing moment, it grows stronger until the entire horizon is filled with clarity. This is what is happening now. The path between you and your soulmate is being illuminated. The confusion that once clouded your journey is fading away. And soon, very soon, the truth of this connection will stand in the open, where it can no longer be hidden or misunderstood. But there is still something important you must remember. Even though the barrier is gone, patience remains part of the process. Divine timing does not rush. It unfolds with purpose. Every step still matters. Every moment still carries meaning. And the reason heaven allowed you to hear this message today is because your spirit needed reassurance. You needed to know that the delays were not rejection, they were preparation. You needed to know that the silence was not abandonment, it was alignment. And now, the season of clearing has reached its final stage. My beloved soul, if you remain till the end, the final word will change everything. Because what is coming next will reveal how this newly opened path will begin to transform the connection between you and the one your heart has been quietly waiting for. My beloved soul, something extraordinary begins to happen when the final barrier disappears. At first, it may feel subtle, almost invisible, like a quiet shift in the wind. Yet inside the spiritual realm, it is a moment of deep movement. What once held the connection back no longer has authority. The resistance that delayed recognition has stepped aside, and when that happens, the energy between two destined hearts begins to reorganize itself. You may start noticing small but meaningful changes. Thoughts of this person appear in your mind with unusual clarity. Memories surface that suddenly make more sense than they did before. Situations begin aligning in ways that seem too precise to be coincidence. This is not imagination. It is the natural result of the path becoming clear. Because when God removes the final barrier, communication between souls becomes stronger. Hearts begin to feel what words have not yet spoken. My beloved soul, do not skip this moment, because something deeper is unfolding within the heart of the one connected to you. For a long time, your soulmate may have carried confusion about their own emotions. They felt something powerful, but could not fully understand it. Sometimes they tried to ignore it. Sometimes they convinced themselves it was only temporary. But the truth is that divine connections do not disappear simply because someone avoids them. They remain present, quietly waiting for the right moment of awakening. And that awakening has begun. The final barrier that clouded their perception is dissolving. The fears that once made them step back are losing their voice. The excuses that kept them distant are becoming harder for them to believe. Slowly, gently, they are starting to see what heaven placed in front of them from the beginning. Stay with me till the end. Something powerful is waiting for you. Because what is happening inside their heart right now is more significant than you might imagine. When the final barrier breaks, the soul begins to remember what the mind once ignored. Your soulmate is starting to recognize the peace they feel when your energy enters their thoughts. They are noticing how different this connection feels compared to anything they experienced before. Other relationships may have been loud, chaotic, or uncertain, but the bond between you carries something deeper, something calm, something steady, something that feels strangely familiar, and that familiarity is not an accident. It is the echo of two spirits that were always meant to find each other. Yet recognition takes courage. For your soulmate, this realization may bring both comfort and fear. Comfort, because they are beginning to understand the depth of the connection. Fear, because accepting this truth means letting go of old patterns that no longer serve them. But heaven is guiding them through that process. Slowly their heart is becoming ready to move toward what they once hesitated to face. My beloved soul, do not leave yet. Heaven has more to reveal. Because while this transformation is happening within them, something equally important is happening within you. The waiting season you experienced was not only about timing, it was also about growth. During that period, your spirit learned lessons that strengthened your ability to love without losing yourself. You discovered the importance of inner peace. You learned how to protect your energy. You began to understand that true love does not require chasing or forcing outcomes. These realizations prepared you for the moment when the path would finally open. Because if the barrier had disappeared before this growth happened, the connection might have returned to the same confusion that once delayed it. But now the foundation is different. Your heart carries wisdom it did not carry before. Your perspective has expanded, and that maturity creates stability within the connection. My beloved soul, there is a reason heaven allowed you to reach this point with patience instead of urgency. Divine unions are not built on desperation. They are built on alignment. When two hearts come together from a place of peace, the relationship becomes stronger than any temporary obstacle. And that is why the removal of the final barrier matters so much. It signals that the preparation phase is reaching completion. The lessons have been learned. The emotional storms have settled. The clarity that once seemed distant is now arriving. If you remain till the end, the final word will change everything. Because what happens next in this journey will reveal just how powerful this moment truly is. When the path between two destined souls becomes clear, the universe begins to arrange encounters that once seemed impossible. Conversations that were delayed suddenly become possible. Situations that once created distance start bringing two lives closer together. Sometimes this happens through unexpected messages. Sometimes through chance meetings that feel guided by something greater than coincidence. But behind every one of these moments is the same divine intention, recognition. Heaven wants both hearts to see the truth without confusion, to feel the connection without fear, to understand that what once seemed complicated has now become simple. Love does not need to fight its way through barriers anymore. The road is open, and when a road is open, movement naturally follows. Yet there is one more truth that heaven wants you to carry in your heart during this time. Do not allow impatience to disturb peace that has been given to you. The clearing of the barrier does not mean the journey must rush forward. Divine timing still moves with wisdom. Each step will unfold exactly when it is meant to unfold. Trust that what has been prepared for you will arrive in the right moment. My beloved soul, the most powerful thing you can do right now is remain in the calm confidence that heaven has already begun fulfilling its promise. The path is no longer blocked. The confusion is fading. The connection is becoming clearer with every passing day. And somewhere, not far from this moment, the heart that once struggled to understand is beginning to move toward the truth that your souls have always known. My beloved soul, when heaven removes the final barrier, the atmosphere around a connection begins to change in ways that are quiet, yet undeniable. What once felt heavy starts to feel lighter. What once seemed distant begins to draw closer. It is like standing at the edge of a long night and suddenly noticing that the first colors of dawn have appeared on the horizon. Nothing dramatic has happened in that single moment, yet everything is already different. This is the stage where destiny starts to breathe again. The silence that once surrounded the connection begins to soften. The invisible tension that once kept two hearts apart slowly dissolves, and the truth that was hidden beneath confusion begins to rise to the surface where it can no longer remain unseen. My beloved soul, do not skip this moment. Because what is happening right now inside this unseen realm is something sacred. Heaven is restoring clarity where uncertainty once lived. The path that was once tangled with emotional obstacles is now becoming straight and open. And when a path becomes clear, the soul naturally begins to move toward what it was always meant to reach. Your soulmate may not yet understand every detail of what is happening inside them, but their spirit is responding to the shift. They may find themselves thinking about you during moments when they least expect it. They may notice that the memory of your presence brings a strange calmness to their mind. It is as if something inside them is gently reminding them that there is a connection they can no longer ignore. This is not coincidence. This is the result of divine alignment returning to its rightful place. Stay with me till the end. Something powerful is waiting for you. Because the truth is that your soulmate has been feeling the absence of something important in their life, even if they could not clearly identify it before. For a long time, they tried to fill that space with distractions, with temporary emotions, with situations that looked like love, but never truly felt complete. Yet, deep within their spirit, there was always a quiet awareness that something real had not yet arrived, and that awareness is becoming stronger now. As the final barrier fades away, the contrast between what is temporary and what is destined becomes clearer to them. They begin to recognize that the peace they felt around you was different. They begin to remember moments when your presence felt natural, safe, and strangely familiar. Those memories are not returning by accident. They are returning because the soul cannot forget what was written for it by divine intention. My beloved soul, do not leave yet. Heaven has more to reveal. Because while your soulmate is slowly waking up to this truth, something important must also happen within you. This moment is not about chasing confirmation. It is about standing in the quiet confidence that what God has prepared will arrive without force. When the path is clear, love does not need to be pushed forward. It moves naturally. It unfolds like a story that was always meant to be told. And this is why your role right now is not to create pressure, but to maintain peace within your own spirit. Your calm energy becomes a signal that the connection is safe to approach. Your patience becomes an invitation for destiny to unfold at the right rhythm. Many people misunderstand this stage of divine alignment. They believe that once the barrier is gone, everything must happen instantly. But heaven moves with wisdom. Sometimes the final steps unfold gently, so that both hearts can fully recognize what they are stepping into. My beloved soul, this gentle unfolding is not delay. It is protection. It ensures that when the moment of recognition arrives, it will carry certainty instead of confusion. It ensures that when words are finally spoken, they will come from a place of truth rather than fear. And most importantly, it allows both hearts to meet each other without the shadows that once created distance between them. If you remain till the end, the final word will change everything. Because there is one more secret about this stage that heaven wants you to understand. When the final barrier disappears, the universe begins arranging opportunities for clarity. These opportunities may appear in simple ways. A conversation that was unexpected, a message that feels meaningful, a moment where two lives cross paths again in a way that feels strangely natural. These are not random events. They are gentle doorways created by divine timing. Each doorway invites both hearts to step closer to the truth. Yet the most powerful change is not always visible on the outside. It is happening inside the soul of the one connected to you. Your soulmate is beginning to understand that the connection they once questioned carries a depth that cannot easily be replaced. They are realizing that the peace they felt with you is something rare, something genuine, something that cannot be recreated through temporary relationships or distractions. And this realization is awakening courage within them. Courage to face emotions they once avoided. courage to acknowledge the bond that once frightened them, courage to move toward what their heart now understands more clearly than before. My beloved soul, the path that once seemed blocked is now opening with quiet certainty. The distance that once confused you is being replaced with understanding, and although the final steps of this journey are still unfolding, the direction has already been chosen by heaven. What once stood between you and the love meant for your life has been removed. The barrier has fallen. The silence is ending, and the connection that was guided by divine intention from the beginning is now moving toward the moment when both hearts will finally see what heaven has been preparing all along. My beloved soul, when the final barrier disappears, there is a moment that many people do not immediately recognize. It is the moment when destiny stops whispering and begins quietly moving. Nothing appears dramatic on the surface. Yet deep within the unseen realm, the direction of two lives has already begun to change. The distance that once seemed permanent is no longer supported by the forces that once created it. The confusion that surrounded this connection is losing its strength, and slowly, almost gently, the truth begins to stand where doubt once stood. This is the stage where heaven allows the hearts involved to finally breathe without the pressure that once kept them apart. The path between you and your soulmate has entered a new season. A season where recognition becomes easier. A season where honesty begins to replace hesitation. A season where the connection no longer needs to hide behind uncertainty. My beloved soul, do not skip this moment, because what is happening now carries a quiet power that will shape everything that follows. The soul of your soulmate is reaching a point where ignoring this connection is no longer possible. For a long time, they may have distracted themselves with other priorities, with responsibilities, with emotional walls they built to protect themselves from vulnerability. But walls cannot stand forever when truth continues knocking on the heart. Eventually, the soul grows tired of resisting what it already knows is real. That is the stage your soulmate is approaching now. The final barrier that once gave them reasons to stay distant has been removed. And without that barrier, the voice of their own heart becomes louder. They begin to notice the emptiness of situations that once felt sufficient. They begin to recognize that certain connections in their life lack the depth they once believed was enough. And during quiet moments, when the world becomes still, their mind returns to the memory of you, not because they are forcing those thoughts, but because their spirit remembers what their mind once tried to forget. Stay with me till the end. Something powerful is waiting for you, because what heaven is revealing in this moment is something sacred about the nature of divine love. When two souls are meant to find each other, the universe itself participates in the journey. It rearranges circumstances. It softens hearts. It dissolves obstacles that once seemed impossible to remove. And while humans may interpret these shifts as coincidence, heaven understands them as alignment. The barrier that once delayed your union was never meant to last forever. It existed only until both hearts reached the level of understanding required to protect the connection rather than damage it. And now that understanding is emerging. Your soulmate is beginning to see their own emotions with new clarity. They are realizing that the peace they felt in your presence was not ordinary comfort. It was the reflection of a deeper bond their spirit recognized long before their mind accepted it. And as this realization grows stronger, the courage to approach the truth also grows. My beloved soul, do not leave yet. Heaven has more to reveal. Because there is something important about the way this final stage unfolds. It does not arrive with chaos. It arrives with calm certainty. When the path between two destined souls becomes clear, the energy surrounding them becomes peaceful rather than dramatic. There is less confusion, less emotional turbulence. Instead, there is a quiet sense that something meaningful is approaching. You may already feel it in subtle ways. A deeper calm within your heart. A sense that the waiting season is no longer filled with the same uncertainty it once carried. This inner peace is not accidental. It is a sign that your spirit is recognizing the shift before your physical eyes fully witness it. Heaven often prepares the heart first, so that when destiny finally appears in front of you, it will not feel overwhelming. It will feel natural, familiar, as if your soul already knew the moment was coming. My beloved soul, there is also something important you must understand about the role you play in this unfolding story. Your peace is part of the alignment. Your patience strengthens the foundation of what is being built. Every moment you choose trust instead of fear, you contribute to the stability of this connection. Because divine love is not sustained by anxiety. It is sustained by faith. Faith that what God has written will not disappear simply because time was required to prepare it properly. And now the preparation has reached its final stage. The barrier that once stood between you and your soulmate is no longer standing. The confusion that once clouded their understanding is dissolving. The emotional distance that once seemed impossible to cross is quietly shrinking. If you remain till the end, the final word will change everything, because what heaven wants you to carry forward from this moment is a simple but powerful truth. What is meant for your soul cannot remain hidden forever. Destiny may take time to reveal itself, but once the path is cleared, its movement becomes unstoppable. The love prepared for you was never erased. It was only waiting for the moment when both hearts were ready to recognize its value. And that moment is approaching with a calm certainty that no obstacle can reverse. Somewhere not far from where you stand now, your soulmate is beginning to feel the pull of truth, guiding them closer to the life they are meant to live. The hesitation that once held them back is fading. The clarity that once seemed distant is arriving, and soon the connection that once lived quietly in the background will step into the light where both hearts can finally acknowledge it without fear. My beloved soul, remember this as you continue forward. The delays were never punishment. They were preparation. The silence was never abandonment. It was protection, and the barrier that once made the journey feel impossible has now been removed by the same divine hands that wrote this connection into existence from the beginning. Trust the calm that has entered your spirit. Trust the quiet movement of destiny that is guiding both of you toward the same horizon. Because when heaven clears the final barrier, it is not simply opening a road. It is fulfilling a promise, and that promise is now moving gently, steadily, and undeniably toward the moment when the love meant for your life will finally stand in front of you without anything left in the way.